This is the second episode in our Life as a series, where we speak to those in different professions to find out what the job is really like. If you're intrigued by the paralegal route but are undecided, then today's episode is for you. Hello and welcome to Future You, the podcast brought to you by graduate careers experts Prospects. We're here to help with your career goals. In this episode, I speak to Weronika Husejko, a paralegal working in the divorce and finance team at Mcalister Family Law. We ask her where she began, what her responsibilities are, and what she loves about the role. So, Weronika, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Weronika. I'm 23 years old. I'm a paralegal and I work as part of the divorce and finance team at Mcalister Family Law, which is like a specialist practice of the Beyond Group. I work in Manchester and I've worked in family law for about 2 years.
What route did you have to take to become a paralegal?
Well, I think the most traditional route actually is becoming a paralegal once you finish university, just as a way to kind of gain experience in law in practice. But mine was slightly different. When I was doing my law degree, one of my friends actually, she'd found this careers page and she then managed to get like a part-time clerking role for a barrister whilst we were doing that. So that kind of inspired me to then also check the careers page on a regular basis to see if I could find something that would kind of get me that experience, practically speaking. So I did actually find something on there that was a part-time paralegal role. It was just kind of working at a city centre personal injury firm. But that then, I only worked there about 1 day a week, but that kind of, as an entry role, gave me that experience that I needed to then get a role working as a paralegal when I finished uni. And that was in family law, which is the area that I actually wanted to work in. But I think those basic skills that I picked up working in that initial kind of personal injury firm did actually really help.
What skills do you need to become a paralegal?
Well, I think that actually differs depending on the area of law that you are working as a paralegal. So I think with family law specifically, because it is quite different to the other areas of law, obviously like corporate and conveyance and things like that. I think with family law, you actually need to have an actual interest in and passion for helping people. I think it's really important for me. I definitely have that, and I always knew that I wanted to work in family. So that helps because it isn't an easy area of law to work in. I think it's also really important that you have empathy and you're empathetic towards the clients. They're going through the most difficult stages of the life when you're meeting with them, and that's really a key skill that you need to have. But for me, I think it's also important to be driven and motivated because, as I say, it's not an easy job. And I think if you are, then you know kind of where you're heading. But yeah, I think they're the kind of three most important things.
Okay, so you mentioned you worked part-time while you were doing your degree. I presume there was a bit of training in there as well. What part of your training/education was the most challenging for you?
Well, I think all of them in different ways. So I think the law degree, whilst I was doing that, was the most academically challenging. It wasn't too bad doing the part-time paralegal role at the same time because I would do that 1 day a week, so it wasn't too bad. But a degree is obviously quite challenging in itself. But then when I was doing the LPC, so the legal practice course, I also did a part-time role at the same time. But that was, I guess, more challenging in the aspect. I had to navigate the amount of work that I had, which was a lot. So I think that was more challenging in that way. I think the legal practice course isn't necessarily academically challenging, but there's a lot to learn and there's a lot of work to do. And I was doing it at the same time as a different paralegal role, which was about 25 hours a week. So that was quite difficult. But then I think when you're actually training to be a paralegal initially, it can be quite challenging in itself because there's a lot you don't know, and university doesn't really prepare you for that. It's really different to what you learn academically. So yeah.
So it's a big commitment.
Yeah.
What made you go into family law as a paralegal?
Well, before I even started university, I kind of knew that I was interested in that because I did sociology, I did law, and I kind of like to mix of the two. They were always my interests. But then when I started university, nobody really talked about the option of going and becoming a paralegal before doing your training contract or anything like that. So then when I went to some kind of firm open days, things like that, I spoke to some paralegals and I actually liked the idea of gaining some experience in an area of law before going into it and doing a training contract. So I think with family, as I say, I did that personal injury paralegal role first, and that made me realise I definitely wanted to work with people. And then I kind of, because I had that interest in family while studying it at uni and all of that, then it just kind of naturally, I think, came that a family paralegal role would be the right next step to take. So that's when I found a role doing that whilst I was doing the LPC. But I'm really glad I did it because I mean it just confirmed to me that that's actually what I wanted to do. So
What does your role entail as a paralegal?
I think the main part of it is actually just really helping solicitors with their cases. Obviously, you do have cases of your own, and depending on what firm you're working for, and things like that. But I think generally, for me, it includes things like attending client meetings and assisting, taking a note in those meetings. I also do things like attend court hearings, conferences with counsel, which are really interesting. But then you also do the more kind of desk-based work, which is things like preparing court documents, drafting letters, things like that. But I mean, it's more, I mean, it depends obviously what area of law you're working in again, but that's just what I do in family.
What do you enjoy the most about what you do?
I think specifically with the firm that I'm at now, Mcalisters, I think what's great is that I actually get to co-work cases with other solicitors. So it's not just that I'm assisting them, it's actually that the clients get to know me and I get to know the case as well, which is really good. It's a really good experience for me. So there's actually a few cases that I'm working on where I'm actually involved in the day-to-day work under the supervision of a partner, and the clients, as I say, contact me and I'm involved in all the correspondence and then also all the preparations for and I attend the hearings as well. So yeah, so it's really interesting.
So, how do you see your career progressing or changing in the coming years?
Well, I think for me, my current goal is to qualify as a solicitor. So that's kind of where I'm working towards. So my next step would be to get a training contract with the group. But I feel quite lucky in that because the Beyond group, they've been quite transparent with me from day one, when I started, that I do have options for progression. And the really good thing is with the Beyond group as well is that they only hire internally for trainees. So I think that's a really positive thing. So it shows, hard work is rewarded, and it's noticed. And one of the things that I'd get to do here as well is, I mean, I know that I want to do family, but I'd also get to do other seats such as corporate law. So who knows? I might even end up liking a different area of law, but we'll see.
What's your favourite part of the job?
Um, I would say it's actually just specifically as a paralegal, you get a real variety of work. So it just, I mean, day to day, you're working on different cases. Obviously, as I say, there are a few cases which you work on every day and you know them inside out, and that's great. But there's also, because I assist a group of about 10 to 15 solicitors, so it's you really do get that variety of different types of work, and I think that's really important when you're starting out to get that experience.
You knew it was coming. What was your least favourite part of the job?
Well, I think with family law, obviously you're helping people that are going through a really difficult time of their life. It's very stressful for them. So it can be quite difficult at times to kind of separate yourself emotionally from what they're going through and what you're dealing with. But for me, it's always worth it when you achieve a fair result for your client, and they usually always appreciate it. So it's just a really rewarding job, and you really get to kind of get to know them as well. But as I say, it can be quite draining at times.
Yeah. Do you find yourself working past sort of sociable hours quite often?
I think as a paralegal, it just depends what you make of it. I mean, it can be a 9 to 5 job if that's what you want it to be. It is, I think, all the firms that I've worked at have been super busy, but it does vary firm to firm. But for me, I mean, I actually do work outside of those hours, but it's always out of choice. A lot of the time it's, it's to do things like networking for my own personal development, but all the times it's to do work for clients, and it's all just kind of, I'm see it as a way to achieving my goal, which is to qualify as a solicitor, and that's just going to help me get there, if that makes sense. So
Mm.
so I really enjoy my job as well, so I don't really kind of think, oh, I've got to stay late. It's not like
Yeah.
that. I just get on with it, really, and I just do what I need to do.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have any advice for anyone wanting to get into law?
Yeah, so I think my biggest point of advice would be to get as much practical experience as you actually can, whether it's that you're about to start your A levels and you're kind of considering whether you're interested in law or not, whether you're doing your A levels, whether you're at university, whether you've finished university. It's just get as much practical experience as you can, open your mind to all the different areas of law that there are, because they're all so different. I think when I was doing my A levels and I spoke to one of my friends who also did this, but you kind of think that criminal law is almost the only route, and criminal and civil, I think, are the only kind of routes you see.
Mm.
And there's so many other areas that that you can explore, and they're all so different from each other. So I think the key is to actually, if you finding law interesting, go out there, try and get experience with law firms, try and do kind of little mini seats in different areas and see what you actually like. Because, as I say, they're really different. Also, there's things at uni like legal advice clinics, citizens advice bureau, which you can get involved with. I didn't do that personally. I just kind of took the paralegal route and did that. But everybody does different things. There's also, I mean, when you're actually applying for jobs, I think it's really important, again, to link back your own personal experiences to why you want to work in that actual particular area of law, because that will actually make you stand out.
Are there any myths or stereotypes that you want to debunk about law?
Yeah, so I think it's a lot more diverse than I actually expected, particularly at the firm that I'm at now. I've noticed that they're a lot less focused on people's backgrounds and, where they went to university, things like that, which kind of is what you're taught from an early age. And it's more about whether you fit into the culture of the firm, which I think is really important. And here it's worked out really well. So we have, like my team, for example, we all get along so well. It just clicks. And I think that's, everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody's got the experience, and they're really good at the job. And it doesn't matter where they went to university, as long as we click as a team, we're doing the work, and that's all that matters. So it's actually also a lot more collaborative than I thought it would be. I thought it would be kind of, individual solicitors working individually, but we all work as a team, and it's a really supportive environment, which I think, I mean, it is firm dependent, but I think that also kind of surprised me.
Thanks to Weronika for speaking to us. If you'd like to know more about being a paralegal or the law sector in general, then visit prospects.ac.uk, where you'll find advice, case studies, and course and job listings. For now, it's goodbye.